The jungle moon of Velkareth smelled like copper and rain. Ethan Cross had been stationed on this planet for 11 months. 11 months of sleeping with one eye open, eating ration packs that tasted like cardboard soaked in regret, and filing reports that the Galactic Xenobiology Institute almost never read. He was the only human on Velkareth. The Kethvari, the cat-like apex predator species who called this moon home, had tolerated his presence mostly because he hadn't died yet, and they found that mildly amusing. The Kethvari were not small creatures. Adults stood nearly 3 meters tall, built like a nightmare someone had sketched from a tiger and a mountain. Their fur ranged from deep violet to midnight black. Their claws could split titanium alloy. Their roar, documented only twice by researchers, both of whom had quit xenobiology afterward, registered at 140 decibels and carried subsonic frequencies that triggered the prey-freeze response in most mammalian species across 12 star systems. Ethan Cross had read all the files. He was currently crouched near a watering pool at the base of a cliff face, sketching the local flora in a battered notebook, when the bushes behind him exploded. Raxorthorn came in like a small catastrophe. He was young, barely 2 years out of the den by Kethvari reckoning, which made him roughly equivalent to a teenager by human standards. His violet fur was still patchy in places, his paws disproportionately large for his body, his tail flicking with the manic energy of a creature who had not yet learned the patience of a true predator. He was, by Kethvari standards, a cub. He was still bigger than a lion. Considerably. Raxor had been following Ethan for 3 weeks. Always at a distance. Always watching with those amber eyes that caught the moonlight like searchlights. Ethan had noticed him on day 2. He'd said nothing about it in his reports. Now Raxor was 3 meters away, crouched in a predator's stance, haunches low, tail lashing. His lips peeled back to show teeth like ivory knives. And then he roared. It wasn't a full adult roar. Not yet. But it was close enough, a sound like a thunderclap with malice behind it, like a freight train deciding it had opinions. The water in the pool rippled. The birds in the canopy above vanished instantly, a panicked cloud of wings. Ethan's notebook fell from his fingers. The subsonic frequencies rolled over him in a wave. His lizard brain, that ancient, wordless part of human neurology that had been running survival calculations since before language existed, screamed at him. Run. 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 Ethan Cross did not run. He picked up his notebook. Raxor blinked. His ears flattened slightly. This was not the expected response. The expected response involved the small pink creature fleeing or freezing or, at minimum, making the small terrified sounds that prey made. The small pink creature had picked up its flat thing. Raxor roared again. Louder. He took 1 step forward, his massive paw hitting the ground with a sound like a hammer strike. Ethan stood up. He was not a large man by human standards. Medium height, lean from months of field rations and long hikes, sun-darkened skin, hair that had grown out past the point of professionalism. He had a scar on his jaw from a Kethvari territorial marking incident in month 3, not a full strike, just a warning swipe from an elder female who'd decided he was standing in the wrong place. He'd cleaned it, bandaged it, and sent a very calm report about it. He looked at Raxorthorn. He thought about 11 months of sleeping with one eye open. He thought about the filing cabinet of survival data that lived behind his eyes now, every piece of body language he'd catalogued, every ritual he'd observed, every dominance display he'd watched the adults perform on each other when territory was disputed. He thought about the subsonic roar still vibrating in his molars. And then Ethan Cross opened his mouth, pulled from somewhere deep in his diaphragm, and roared back. It was not, technically, a Kethvari roar. The human vocal apparatus wasn't built for it. What Ethan produced was something else, a sound dragged up from the bottom of the lungs, raw and percussive and backed by every ounce of controlled aggression he'd spent 11 months learning to contain. He'd practiced it. Not for moments like this, exactly. He'd practiced it the way people practice things they suspect they might need, at night, quietly, feeling slightly ridiculous. It didn't feel ridiculous now. The sound hit Raxorthorn like a physical thing. The cub's ears snapped flat against his skull. He flinched, actually flinched, a full-body recoil, and for one frozen second, those amber eyes went wide with something that was not anger. Ethan didn't stop. He took a step forward. This was the critical moment. Every piece of data he'd collected said the same thing: Kethvari dominance was established in the 3 seconds after a challenge. Hesitation was defeat. He held eye contact, not the panicked, avoidant eye contact of prey, but the flat, unflinching eye contact of something that had decided it was also an apex predator today, and he roared again, shorter this time, sharp, a punctuation mark. I see you. I am not afraid. I am still here. Raxorthorn's tail stopped lashing. It tucked, slightly, toward his body. His haunches lowered, not the crouch of a predator preparing to spring, but the instinctive postural shift of a young Kethvari who had just encountered something in the dominance hierarchy above itself. He knelt. Not fully. Not the deep, deliberate bow that adult Kethvari performed for the Pride Elder. But his front legs bent, his massive head dropped below the level of Ethan's eye line, and he made a sound, low, quiet, nothing like the roar that Ethan had heard once before, when a subadult male had yielded a kill to an elder female. The jungle was completely silent. Ethan let out a breath he'd been holding for what felt like several years. He kept his face still. He kept his posture upright. He counted to 5 in his head. Then he crouched down, slowly, and picked up his notebook. He opened it. He found his pencil. He wrote, in his careful field researcher's script, Day 338. First direct contact with Raxorthorn, designation, subject VK7, subadult male, approximate 2 years. Dominance display successful. He's going to be a problem. I think I like him. He looked up. Raxor was still there, watching him with those amber eyes. The aggression had drained out of the cub's posture. In its place was something Ethan recognized from months of observation, the cautious, almost embarrassed energy of a young Kethvari recalibrating. Ethan tore a small piece of ration bar from his pack. He set it on the rock beside him. He did not look at Raxor directly. He went back to sketching the flora. He heard the soft, enormous footsteps. He heard the delicate, absurdly careful sound of massive jaws taking the ration bar from the rock. He heard Raxorthorn sit down, the heavy, settling sound of several hundred kilograms of apex predator choosing to stay. Ethan sketched. The moon rose. The jungle breathed around them. In his next report to the Xenobiology Institute, Ethan wrote, interpersonal relations with local fauna developing positively. Recommend extended observation period. He did not mention the roaring. Some data points were better kept in the field notebook. 3 months later, Raxorthorn would follow Ethan Cross into a territorial dispute with an adult rival twice his size, and hold his ground. But that is a different story.